Hey everybody, my name is Cameron Manesh. I'm a 20-year multifamily broker veteran. I've sold 60,000 units worth $3 billion in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. This is the #1 competitive multifamily market in the whole world. You might know this face from Cameron Seafood. My family owns the largest Maryland crab company, and we ship crabs right from the Chesapeake Bay directly to your door. But on today's webinar, and the reason we're here, is I'm going to teach newly licensed real estate agents how to break into my field, how to get into multifamily, how to broker apartments, how to find deals, find clients, all that good stuff. And specifically today, we're going to talk about the 3 pillars that I use to make 6 to 7 figures every single year. So who is this for? Well, 90% of real estate agents fail within the first 5 years. So if you're a real estate agent, this is for you. If you want a home-based business, this is for you. If you've never brokered an apartment deal, this is for you. If you're at a brokerage and you want to rise to the top, be a top producer, this is for you. If you want to learn how to earn so much commission that you can now invest your commissions into apartments and get recurring cash flow and tax deductions forever, this is for you. I know you're thinking about leaving this webinar right now, but don't, because I have 3 students that have either made 6 figures in the last year or have doubled their commissions with the following 3 pillars that I'm going to teach you right now. Pillar #1 is to focus on individually owned properties, mom and pop operators, families, high net worth individuals, non-institutions. And the reason is because there's low-hanging fruit there. Your top 5 competitors in the market are probably targeting the institutional grade qualities product, which is 125, 200 units or greater product. And that's difficult because of many reasons. There's a lot of bureaucratic tape with institutional products. A lot of times they have to list a property with a national recognized firm because they have a fiduciary to their investors that they have to list with the national coverage for liability purposes. So if Cameron has a brokerage and Cameron gets sick, what happens to my property? And if you already work at an institution, I can give you further tips on how to break through the institutional red tape, but let's go back to why institutions are hard. There's gatekeepers, there's a bidding process. You're gonna have to bid against 3-4 other brokers, top brokers. It's kind of I scratch your back, you scratch my back. They tend to list with the group that sold them the deal. So there's all this layering and difficulty. So there's no reason to play David and Goliath. Pillar #1 is to focus on individually owned properties. You can develop relationships with the owner, who is a person just like you, who will answer the phone and talk to you like a real human being, who they're the decision maker. He doesn't have a board of directors. He doesn't have trustees or a fiduciary to 1,000 other investors for a fund that was raised from Abu Dhabi. He's an individual that's going to wake up, get to know you, and one day is going to need your help to buy, sell, refinance, and that's the low-hanging fruit. So when you focus on these high net worth individuals, you're going to have a higher successful rate of closing. And a lot of times when I gave you the earlier statistic that 90% of real estate agents fail, it's because a lot of times they just don't have early success and they get themselves out of the game. They're not earning soon enough. That's probably because they don't have a mentor, one, but probably second is they're not hanging on pillar #1. So this is a relationship business. You're going to have to know these individuals, and they're easy to get to know because they're like you and me. So that's pillar #1. Pillar #2, the infinite prospecting loop. This is my best secret. So typical agent canvasses a market, tries to find a seller, tries to find the top 5 active buyers, right? You do all that, and if you don't burn out by the end of that process, you end up getting a closing. Great. You go to closing dinner, you make your money. Remember, it only takes one deal. Now, It might only take one deal, but the infinite prospecting loop is the way to make every one deal become two deals. And I'm going to tell you how to do that right now. So, in commercial real estate, in multifamily, these are cash flowing businesses. Cash flowing businesses that make income need time to build up their value. You know, you can force appreciation. You can add value to the cash flow. And every time you do that, your tax liability increases, which is a good thing because they're earning money. So if you go up to, for example, owner number one, and they've held a property for 2 years and are selling, they'll probably have a small capital gains and they'll be able to sell and you'll make a single transaction. But many a time, remember pillar number one was to focus on owner managed properties. These guys live and they live from the cash flow of those properties. So a lot of times these have been held for 10, 20, 30 years. So that means there's a huge capital gains problem. So a lot of rookie brokers, what they do is they call up and, hey, I know you're probably about to sell because of X, Y, and Z, and I'd like to broker your transaction. Of course, that's a horrible sales pitch, but the point is, you're not solving anything for them. Because if you sell their property, their big issue now arises. You've created an issue. Now, what do they do with the money? They're gonna have to pay 50% tax on that, or maybe plus or minus. So you're actually creating an issue for them. So the infinite prospecting loop is the following. This is pillar number two. You fix the tax problem, and you get an assignment to fix the tax problem, and you get an assignment to sell their property. 2 commissions in one. So how does that work? So if you have a property that, let's say a seller has a $5 million tax liability. I actually have a client with that issue right now. They want me to find them a replacement property so they can do what's called a 1031 exchange. And the 1031 exchange allows them to sell a property, roll the entire proceeds over to an equal or greater property, and not pay capital gains tax. They win. So my assignment is to first find them a 1031 property that they could invest into, and you show them properties, they end up liking one, they buy the deal, and then they turn around and sell the previous deal that you originally contacted them on with you. So you get 2 commissions. Now, as you're finding that seller a deal to buy, that's called a reverse 1030. You're actually finding them a replacement property first in order to let them 1031 out. Some folks, the riskier folks, will sell their property with you and then say, great, I have 45 days to find up to 3 properties. That's what the IRS allows. So then the clock is ticking. So that's a more risky approach, and some folks are willing to do that. But think about it. If I were to tell you that every investor looks at 100 deals before they buy one, what does that mean? Your infinite prospecting loop now multiplies. Because for you to sell that person a replacement property, you probably have to show them 10, 20, 100 different properties, which means there's another property for sale, right? So you help client number one find a new property and replace and then sell their property. 2 commissions. During that process, you've just unlocked 5, 10 other property owners that have the same issue as client number one. So then it repeats. You go back to that client and you repeat the process, and it's an infinite loop. You can forever create listings. And remember, guys, it only takes one deal to make $1 million. So pillar number 2 is to focus on the infinite listing loop. Pillar number 3, your goal is to invest your commissions with your buyers. You want to set aside, you want to cut your expenses and use a single commission to cover your whole annual expenses. For me, that meant for 8 years, I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. I could have bought a home, but I didn't. I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with my wife, and for 8 years, I lived off of $40,000 a year, let's say. And every dollar I made after that, I reinvested with the buyer. Now, this is how it works. The buyer gets a property under contract, you help broker it, so you make a commission, you have your split with your office, and your portion, assuming that the buyer allows you to do this and your brokerage allows you to do this, then you can invest your portion into the deal. And these pay anywhere from 6 to 8% a year in cash flow. And over the term of, let's say, a 10-year holding period, it is not uncommon to get a 15 to 18% annualized return on your money. That's the first good part. I have recurring cash flow. I'm guaranteeing my retirement. The second good part of that is depreciation. When you invest into real estate, the IRS lets you depreciate a portion of your investment as a tax deduction. So the money that you earn from that a lot of times can be all or partially tax-free income. So I'm investing my money, I have my snowball, I'm rolling my snowball every deal I do. So if you do a deal a quarter, that's 4 deals a year that you get to buy. You're on the other side of the fence. You're now an investor and you're doing it passively. This is called limited partnership investment. So you don't need to do anything. You don't need credit, you don't need a loan, you don't have any management liabilities. You simply invest with the buyer and you get a preferred return. That is pillar number 3. So let's recap what I've taught you today. Pillar number 1 is to focus on low-hanging fruit, which means find individually owned properties, mom and pop owners, family-owned properties. Pillar number 2 is to work on an infinite prospecting loop. That's where you solve a tax burden for a seller, which is, in my experience, about 50% of the time that someone will sell but don't sell is because you haven't solved their issue that you're creating. So you find them a replacement property, you sell it to them, then they sell their deal with you. You get 2 deals for every 1 deal that you prospect, and that deal repeats infinitely because for you to find a deal that they like, you probably are finding 5 or 6 other leads that if they don't buy, you can then take to the next person. Pillar number 3 is to invest as much of your commission as possible, as early as possible, so you can take advantage of compound interest and the time value of money. You want to do it early, and that's the 3 pillars. So you might be thinking, well, Cameron, this sounds all dandy and perfect, but my brokerage doesn't allow me to reinvest commissions, or I have team responsibilities, or I'm starting out. I don't even know how to spell realty, let alone get a client and do all this. So I want to do this. What do I do? How do I overcome these objections? Well, the first thing is you need to pick a brokerage that allows you to grow and meet your end goal now. You got to know your end goal now, and you need these 3 pillars. It took me 20 years to define these 3 pillars. If you do this right away, right now, this year, then by the time you're rolling that snowball 10 years from now, you're going to have a legacy. You're going to own apartments. You're going to be able to give this to your kids. You're going to be able to live off of that cash flow forever. You're going to pay less taxes. So this is the smartest way to do it. And you need a brokerage that will support that. Now, if your third point is, well, Cameron, I've never done this before, but I want to do it. How do I do it? Well, my brokerage is hiring. That's one thing. I'm in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. So get into contact with me if you want an interview. But let's say you're in Utah. Let's say you're in California. Let's say you're in Florida and you want to do this. I got good news. Now, I can teach you the same thing I teach my team, the same thing I've taught folks for the last 10 years. And that is a training program that I put together. It's a online course with coaching. It's a combination. So it's a video-based course that I teach my existing agents with, and it is a weekly training call over Zoom. So you get me, you get my team, you get support, and that's a way for you to learn. Now, there's a fee for this because if you were at my brokerage, we have commission splits, right? So every deal you do, there's a split to the house, there's a split to me, and etc. So there is a fee for this because this is virtual and you can do this from your own house. But what if I was to tell you that the fee for this, you could recoup in just doing one deal. Or if I were to tell you that one deal might be able to pay for this course and training program 5 times over, well, you're in luck, because that's what folks are doing. That's what my agents are doing. They're earning 6 figures. With the infinite prospecting loop, I have someone that's now doubled their commissions. So this is well worth, and it gives you an absolute return on your money. So I've explained to you the 3 pillars of success that took me the last 10 or 20 years to figure out. Now, and I've told you what, I've told you why, but I haven't explained the how. And the how is what I'm introducing today is my coaching program. It's over 100 videos for online learning. You can do this from your house. It is weekly Zoom group coaching calls for mentorship. I give you properties and owners to contact. I give you that list. That's huge value, huge value. And I'm going to give you a few of the syllabus points that I go over in the course. Now, forgive me, I'm going to read. But I'm going to go over the top reasons why 90% of all real estate agents fail. And I'm going to tell you the counters to them, how you will not be one of them. I'm going to give you the ABCs of investing and brokerage. So you'll learn everything from A to Z with 0 experience. I'm going to tell you what makes a good broker. What's the difference between a good, mediocre, and a top performer? I'm going to tell you exactly what to do step by step the first 30 days that you start in this business, or 30 days from where you currently are at your brokerage. I'm going to give you all my sales techniques. I'm going to tell you how I leave voicemails, how I cold call, how I follow up, how I give listing presentations, how I underwrite a property, how I value a property, how I find value for a property, all of that, and everything that's worked. And I'll take my last 25 deals that I've closed, and A to Z, I'll reverse it for you. I'll show you the initial part of how I contacted the owner, how I got the assignment, what communications I sent, how I went on my tours, how I did my memorandums, how I emailed, how I stayed in touch, how I collected a commission. All of that, step by step. You're going to learn, again, how to value apartments. I said that. You're going to learn how to deal with buyers and sellers, especially the high pressure sellers. These guys are multimillionaires, they're CEOs, C-level executives, and they really give it to you sometimes. They stick it to you, so you got to know how to talk to them and stand your ground. I'm going to tell you how to overcome client objections. No, Cameron, I don't want to sell my property. I'm going to tell you how not to hear that. And if you hear it, I'm going to tell you how to turn those no's into yeses. And remember, it only takes one deal to make $1 million. I'm going to tell you how to close off-market deals. You'll see that most people say, don't work on off-market deals. That's a waste of time. I'm going to show you how not to make it a waste of time and how to use that as a strategic advantage, because that's where the low-hanging fruit is. You're going to have a competitive advantage at the field where all your competing brokers think it is just a waste of time, and that's going to be a secret. You're going to learn the infinite lead and prospecting loop that I talked about in pillar number 2. I'm going to tell you exactly how I do it, how to find a 1031 for the client, how to find new prospects, how to find new deals, how to query them, how to value them. I'm going to teach you how to double your commissions using that. I'm going to teach you how to make $7,500 of monthly income, which is what a lot of my guys are doing because they're reinvesting their money. And that's every year, per month, that's what they're making. And I'm going to tell you how to choose the right brokerage. I'm going to tell you which brokerages are good, which aren't. And I'm going to tell you how to start your own brokerage if you want in one day. That's what you get with my program, my coaching program. You get the mentorship, which is the most important. You get the same training that I give my staff. You get my support. You get my team support. You get 20 years of knowledge. You get 60,000 units that I've transacted. All the details, how it happened. $3 billion worth of multifamily in the most competitive market in the United States in one coaching program. So this is my ask. Book a call. Talk to us. Talk to my office. Let me understand where you are right now. Let me see if we can help you. Let me see if I can add value to your life. Let me see if I can increase your income. Book a call. Let's work together. Let me help you. Before I sign off, I just want to thank you guys. Thank you guys. If you stuck through the webinar all the way to here, that means you're serious about your real estate career, which means that when you book a call, we're going to be serious about helping you in your career. So that's my commitment to you guys and my team's commitment to you. So thank you for watching and thank you for listening and have a great day. Bye-bye.